Well, hello there, and welcome to the Dana Spencer Show, where we talk about solving problems, building relationships, quitting corporate, and the freedom to walk in our God given purpose. So, I hope you are feeling amazing. You've got the activity of your limbs. This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And I am super glad today because I have an amazing guest with me here today. So let's give a warm the Dana Spencer Show welcome to Mr. Roy Hall Jr. Woo! How we feeling today, Roy?
I am fantastic. Definitely blessed, feeling great. Trying to match your energy, which is always uncommon energy, that godly energy. You know what I mean? Like we know you're walking around with an impenetrable joy, and nobody's stealing that from you. So I'm just thankful and grateful to be on your show. What a great podcast, great show. Excited for you and everything that you're doing. So yeah, this is good. This is good. What's up to the entire audience, everyone who's listening? I will tell you that this is probably one of the best podcasts that you'll listen to. So make sure you share it, give the link to all your friends. If you hear anything on this podcast that resonates with you or somebody else that you think could utilize the encouragement, please take the 6 or 7 seconds to pull their name up on your phone and send them a text message and attach the link. It's going to be worth it, and you'll be blessed for it.
Awesome. Well, you got us off to an amazing start. And so I know
Sure.
you are an incredibly busy man. And before I forget, Roy was the designer of my logo. So shout out to Roy for designing my logo. So didn't want to forget that. So yes, here
Yeah,
we go.
the DS dollar sign is everything. Yeah, it looks great. You look great. The color is perfect. It was awesome working with you. So I'm excited about it. It looks great. It looks fantastic.
Thank you so much. So, Roy, as a little boy, what did you want to be when you grew up?
To be honest, I wanted to be a professional basketball player. I wanted to go to the NBA. I grew up, in the late '80s. I was born in '83, so Michael Jordan was just about to explode right around '87, '88, '89, '90, early '90s. So definitely the first 7 to 10 years of my life, I had hoop dreams, and really through almost the beginning of high school, I had hoop dreams. And wanted to make it to the NBA, not so much because of the fame and the fortune. Obviously, the money aspect of it is going to be something that we all can see. But we had some challenges growing up, single parent household. My mom raised my sister and myself just by herself, and had some challenges with my father and some other things. And so I saw the struggle. The struggle is real, but also what's real is the opportunity for you to work through it and to get through it. And so my mom had to take on a lot on her shoulders, working multiple jobs. And there were often moments where the refrigerator wasn't filled, borderline getting evicted. We didn't have a car at the time, trying to figure out ways to pay for bills. Back in the day, you would have to go to the grocery store and you could write checks and they would swipe that check through. And sometimes it just didn't go through and you have to leave those groceries there. So we had some moments where I felt from a financial standpoint and felt the burden and the stress of that as a kid. A lot of times we think that kids don't see, they don't hear, they don't feel what's going on, but they feel that weight and feel that pressure. And I knew making it to the NBA could potentially change some things. So that's what I set my eyes on.
Yes, yes, that was so good. And so even as a youngster, you felt, we're struggling and you wanted to do something about that. Do you feel like men have that I want to fix it mentality instead more so than women do?
I don't know. I can't say if it's more so than women do because obviously I'm not a woman. However, depending on how you're raised, is going to dictate whether or not you want to be the person who covers the household. And there's something in you sometimes, in most men, there's something in you that wants to protect, that wants to provide, that wants to lead, that wants to dominate, as the word says, right? Where we're supposed to take control and take command. And so, when you're that young, you're limited to what you can do. It's not like you can go get a job or go get in the car and go figure out how to hustle and grind and put a couple dollars on the table. But there are certain things that you can do to take pressure off of the people that you love. I think that's a part of what it means to be a provider and a protector, is to take pressure off of people, however that may be. And so as a kid, keeping my grades up, being a straight A student, that takes pressure off of my mom, right? Doing my chores and making sure my room's clean and making sure I'm getting along with my sister. Like those are things that take pressure off. Not giving my mom a hard time because she can't afford to go get me the latest Jordans or make sure my closet is filled with the latest designer type clothes back in the day. So those are things that you can do to take pressure off, and until you can get in a position to provide from a financial standpoint and protect.
Oh, I love that. I think about because I taught junior hires for a long time, and we would go visit the kids in our class, and I can remember talking to some single moms and the pressure of the child being sick, having to call in. And so I love that you recognize that at an early age, that okay, you know what, I can't help mom with the bills, but I can take the pressure off and not have the school calling because I got in trouble again. Yeah, that is so good.
I mean, the biggest thing is you just have to do your part, and I think a lot of young people miss that because it's things that they want. But before you can get what you want, you got to put in some work for some other people. It's called serving, and mom taught me that early. Like I wanted to make her proud. I didn't. It was already hard. It was hard enough, so that it was I didn't want to put myself in a position to add to that. What can I do to help? And the grade piece and being just a good person, a good student, was the part for me that kept things going. And I took pride in that. I took pride in bringing home all A's on the report card. I took pride in being the best in my class because I knew it was going to positively impact my mom and her mental health.
Yeah, that's so good. So, you would be in middle school and high school. So, did you play basketball in high school? Did you play basketball and football?
Yeah, I was a three-sport athlete, played basketball, football, and ran track. Was all everything in basketball, was all everything in football, and was pretty fast on the track as well through high school. But it ended up turning out that, I'm 6'3". In high school, I was 6'3", maybe 210 pounds, which is a huge high school football player for playing wide receiver. But from a basketball standpoint, you're kind of like Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving's height. So, if you're not 6'10", 6, you can play anywhere in the country. And so I had over, I don't know, 60, 70 scholarship offers to play football anywhere that I want. And when I say anywhere, anywhere from USC to Alabama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Penn State, all the Ivy League schools, Princeton, Yale, Harvard. I mean, I carried a 3.9 GPA in high school, so it opened the doors for me to go to whatever high schools I wanted. I mean, whatever colleges I wanted to, and ended up taking a full athletic scholarship to the Ohio State University, and obviously had a chance to play there for 4 or 5 years, and won a national title my freshman year there, and played for another my senior year, and was blessed enough to get drafted by the Indianapolis Colts in the 2007 NFL draft, and played 4 years professionally. So it didn't work out that I made it to the NBA, but I did make it to the NFL, and was able to do all the things I wanted to do in regards to taking care of my family and my mom. And it's just been an honor and a blessing to be able to serve the Lord through my gifts in that capacity.
Wow, you just said a bunch. We're gonna have to back that up a little bit. So
We could we,
you
we
were
could
a
back it up.
we're gonna back it up a little bit. So you said you were a three sport athlete. So I think about the finances with your mom. How were you all able to afford that?
Yeah, so back then you didn't have to pay to play. A lot of schools are pay to play now. So you're talking 98, 99, 2000. We didn't have a pay to play format that I'm aware of. However, new sneakers, uniforms, whatever it may be that we did have to pay for, by that time, sophomore, junior, senior year, I had my own job too. So I was able to help and contribute from that standpoint. And so I would work on the weekends from either 7 a.m. Until 7 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays, or sometimes I would work an 11 to 7 shift, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. So I didn't really have an off day. Once I became a sophomore, turned 16, I didn't have an off day. So I would play ball on Friday nights or whatever it may be, and then work on Saturdays and Sundays. So I was able to not only get some of the things that I wanted, but again, taking pressure off mom that she didn't have to worry about what I needed because I was able to pay for it. So we still had some challenges, not as much in high school as it was in elementary school. But I still knew that by that time I could get out and make my own way to get the things that I wanted.
What an incredible work ethic. A 3.9 GPA.
Mhm.
You're having to practice during the week, playing games on Friday, and then turn around Saturday and Sunday, and you're working, sounds like full-time hours. What are
Mhm.
some lessons that from doing all of that actually come over to your personal life now?
The biggest thing is in order to get what you want, you're going to have to work with and partner with people who don't look like you. That's the biggest piece. I think culturally we love, I mean, I love supporting Black business. I love supporting people who look like me. However, the world isn't black and white when it comes to success. It's not. It is partnership. It is gray. It is every single type of color. And I worked at McDonald's. I worked for a metro park. I worked for a construction company, of which no one, for the most part, looked like me in the construction company. But at my high school at the time was maybe 25% Black, and so you have to learn to not only trust, but you have to learn how to trust people's heart and not their skin color. You are Black, but 95% of the hurt, harm, damage, disloyalty, lies, hardships that have ever come my way have come from people who look like me. Now, the argument is, yeah, because you're mostly around that, and that may be true. However, on the flip side, like when it comes to support, when it comes to different things that you need, a lot of the ability to go up and climb another step has been because of my ability to work with and lead under or follow people who don't look like me. So my high school basketball coach, who's still in my life, I love him, name's Jed Dunn, white. Jim Trussell, my head football coach at The Ohio State University, white. To this day, Ryan Day, head coach at The Ohio State University today, he's white. Urban Meyer, white. Like, and it's not a I want to tell you all these great white people that help me. It's more like in life, you have to read people by their hearts and their spirit. And so the color thing, yeah, we see color, but color can't trump our Christianity. It can't trump that piece of us. And so for me, I learned that early. Like, yeah, I heard a lot about these folks that don't look like me. I know I come from the inner city and I'm over here in the burbs now, and it looks a little bit different. However, it's some people that treat me well, some people that treat me nice. The first person to invite me to their house in their backyard with a basketball hoop when I was 10 years old, still trying to cultivate that dream, was a white dude. And that's where I honed my skills, in his backyard. His parents came out and said, you can come and play whenever you want to, when we're here and we're not here. So I learned at an early age that you just got to depend on what God is doing. Now, I didn't know accomplish. And so that's what high school taught me. That's what having some jobs at an early age taught me, is that if you want to get ahead, you got to be able to work with some people that don't look like you.
Man, you're already dropping gems. I knew you would, but you're already not disappointing at all. So it's high school, you've got all these different colleges coming at you, so many different directions. How did you decide that you were ultimately going to go to the Ohio State?
Thank you. That was easy. I just wanted to stay close to home. Columbus, Ohio is approximately 2 hours and 20 minutes from Cleveland, Ohio. And so I didn't want to go too far from my mom. And I knew a 2.5 hour drive was easy for me to get to and to get back home if I needed to, and for her to get to on going to games and those sorts of things. So that, and obviously the Ohio State University is one of in my opinion, is the best university in the country, and obviously a top 3, top 5 football program year in and year out. So what a great opportunity I had to be able to not only go to a great university academically, stay home, stay close to home, but then also potentially compete for a national title and get the exposure that I needed to potentially make my dream come true at Ohio State. So all of it just made sense. All those other schools are good universities, great universities, but being home is nothing like being home.
Right. So you basketball was your number one sport, and you have football, and you end up going to Ohio State for the football. Where was the transition from I love basketball and I want to go to the NBA, but football is what's going to pay for schooling and ultimately to get me to my dream role?
Yeah, that happened probably heading into my sophomore year of high school. I don't know if basketball was my best sport. Well, I mean, that's arguable. Like I excelled in both. Football became my best sport because of where I was able to take it. But after my freshman year in high school, we went to a football camp in Indiana to, Indiana Hoosiers, so Indiana University, IU. And I knew nothing about football scholarships, height, weight, what it took to get to the next level in regards to what they're looking for. We went to this football camp, and somehow the wide receivers coach from IU pulled me to the side and started doing some drill work with me. And later that day, he pulled me and my coach to the side and said, I talked to the head coach, and we'd like to offer you a full athletic scholarship. And that was the first D1 scholarship I had, and I was just 15 years old. And I'm like, okay, this is good. And by the time the end of my sophomore year came, pretty much every school in the country was knocking on the door to have access to offer me a scholarship. And so that's when the transition happened, when you realize, hey, I got a chance to do something great and go where I want to go. It's not the way that I wanted to initially, but there's no way that you pass up on that opportunity, especially if I don't have to stop playing basketball. And I didn't have to stop playing. So it definitely was awesome to be able to have the ability to do both. But once those scholarships start coming and the people start knocking on those doors and you see those logos of some of the biggest universities on TV, you can't say no to that.
Yeah, so shout out to the football camp. A plug for Building Lives Through Sports Network. It's a football camp that is happening this year, and I don't know if this is going to air before that, but um, uh, Ryan Montgomery has a passion for camps and that kind of thing, and so
Mm-hmm.
you are living proof of going to a camp and how that was able to help change your life and building those relationships. How important is it to build relationships, whether you're playing professionally or in the corporate? How important are relationships?
It's the key to life. I mean, you opened up basically in a worship session in prayer, right? And giving praise to God, like that's what the Christian faith is based on, the relationship with Jesus. And so everything has to be, the thing with relationships that people don't focus enough on is it takes a lot of hard work. And you have to be selfless. Relationships are built, the best ones are the most selfless relationships. And so it's one of the reasons why sometimes I had challenges with networking events. Hey, let's put a bunch of people in the same room together. We know that everyone in there wants something from somebody, and hopefully they meet somebody that can help them get to where they want to go. But instead of networking, it's like you should be in a room trying to figure out what you have to offer to other people versus what can I get from people. There's nothing worse than somebody knowing your net worth or knowing what you have and giving you some type of fake conversation or coming you from an angle because they know who you are, know your name, know your business, know your brand, and they want to stand next to you because standing next to you makes them look better or gets them closer to their goal. There's nothing more agitating to my spirit than somebody just wanting to stand next to me because of what I can do for them. Life is about what you can give, what you can offer. And when you start offering things or showing who you are and showing that you have a heart for other people's success, it actually makes you more valuable. And so, that's the piece right there that's key about relationships. Stop looking for what somebody can do for you, what they haven't done for you. And then take a step back and say, hey, how have I provided value to this person? And if you feel like you have and done the best of your ability with that, and they haven't reciprocated that for whatever reason, again, relationships and building relationships says, look, as your friend, I'm willing to tell you the truth, even if that means losing you as a friend and losing a relationship. And sometimes speaking up and saying what you need to say will eliminate that relationship, but that's a part of building it. You can still build a relationship and walk away from it without it being torn down, right? You can still build it. It's still a relationship, but we don't have to destroy it just because we don't get along. So, it's still there. The structure's still there. The principles are still there, the foundation is still there. It's just that I'm not residing inside of that building anymore. But it still has some worth to it. It's no different than an investment. You don't have to live there, but you can still benefit from it, i.e. the things that you learn from the relationship, the thing that you learn, what to do, what not to do, the boundaries or the guardrails that you did or didn't set up. Those are all things that you can learn from that investment. So relationships are key. You can't get anywhere by yourself. Greatness demands a duo. Like you have to have at least two walking hand by hand, side by side to be successful in anything. And if you're selling anything, you need clients, you need customers, you need people to trust you. And so you're going to have to one way or another build relationships, whether it be directly or indirectly.
Yeah, that's so good. So it's your freshman year at
Mhm.
the Ohio State University, and you go to a championship. Like, and some people, and you said you went to two. Some people don't experience that in a lifetime. What was that like for you as a freshman?
It was fantastic. It was awesome. I mean, I didn't play a snap my freshman year. We dressed, we had our helmet, shoulder pads, we on the sideline. We wanted to get in the game, but we didn't get in the game. A lot of us didn't. We red shirted and didn't play in the game, but we practiced and did everything, was on the sidelines. But it was great because we were still a part of it. That's the biggest lesson that I took my freshman year. You may not have been on the field contributing, but you still got to do your part. Every time we went to practice and got those guys better that were playing in the game, it contributed to the entire framework of winning the national title. Now, my picture's not going to be on the wall, and I wasn't a three-time or All-American that year, and I didn't have any crazy touchdown catches. However, everyone in that locker room had a part to play, and if you just take one of those guys off the field or out of that locker room, I don't think it comes together the way that it did. So you learn early on that you can contribute outside of just being the superstar, outside of being the person that's always in front, outside of the person with all the ideas, or you making the most money, or you having the biggest and greatest title. Like you can contribute to the entire team winning if you put your ego aside and just figure out how to be the best version of yourself and doing whatever it is that you're doing. So that goes from the person that's just the receptionist all the way up to the person that's the CEO. If everyone does their part, the entire team will win.
So when you have, and I'm in Louisville, and I'm thinking about the University of Louisville, and
Mhm.
if you have a team where, or just any team where, you're recruiting these guys, everybody is a superstar. Everybody on the team, everybody was, all American from where they came from. How
Right.
are you able to take all of these superstars and help people to realize, you know what? Everybody can't shoot. Somebody has got to pass, somebody has got to get the rebound. What are some things that you would suggest to the coaches who have all these superstars to help them figure out, you know what? Everybody has a role to play in figuring out what their role is on the team.
Well, the thing is, if you're coaching at a Division I level like Louisville, like these coaches, they have some sense of what their guys are good at and what they aren't good at. I think the message is usually going to go to the players. Instead of trying to be something that you want to be, become what you need to become so that the team could become the champion that you guys desire it to be. And that's the piece. You start with the overall mission. If the mission is to win a national title, all right, if I want to average 20 points a game, which is extremely tough to do at the collegiate level, but I also got 7 other dudes that want to average 20, it'll never work. So you want to start out with what you're best at first. What am I good at? Am I good at rebounding? Am I good at dishing a rock? Am I good at shooting? Am I good at boxing out? Am I physical? Am I good at running the offense? Am I cerebral? Like I know all the plays, all the offense. I could play 5 different positions. Find out how you can contribute early and often, first and foremost. And then in the flow of the game, then all of a sudden you figure out how you can contribute and your role will carve itself out. I mean, if you're a guy that's always leaving the gym early and you're a guy that's always coming in late, or you're a guy that just does the required work, there's unrequired work and then there's required work. Most people just do the required work. I'll do what they told me to do, but I'm not doing extra. Or I might do just a little bit extra, but I'm not going to give up my Saturday or my Sunday to be shooting in the gym by myself. Right. And so it'll carve itself out. There's a reason why certain guys start to elevate if all things hold equal, injuries and that sort of thing. So the biggest thing is to find out what you're good at, find out what you're better than most people are, and get excellent at that thing. They pay you big bucks in the NFL. They pay you big bucks in the NBA if you can do one thing better than most people. And that's the thing that you have to figure out what you can do better than most.
Yeah, yeah, that was so good. So, okay, so it's your senior year. I guess you sign up to be with the draft and you get drafted. So, tell us about that because so many people out there, there's only a small percentage of people who even get drafted and experience what you have already experienced. What is that feeling like? You know, you're waiting for that call or however that process looks like.
Well, it's a miracle in itself. It's 160 NFL wide receivers on any given Sunday, 5 or so per roster on average, and you got 1 out of 160 out of 8 billion people on this earth. So it's only 160 people on the entire planet that can play that position. That's 1 out of 160 out of 8 billion. It's like 0.0000000000105 or something crazy. It means it's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction, almost impossible to do, right? So that in itself is yeah, God is real, right? That's a miracle in itself that you can have a dream at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old and have a work ethic and planning in you based on the pain and the different things that you're going through and having to then position yourself to grow up a lot faster and then get exposed to another sport in football when you had your eyes on basketball. But the dream was, hey, I want you to be great. So you're aiming at greatness. You just didn't realize you just had to turn the needle just a little bit, right? Like a little, just lean them like a little, a little past 6. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, it lines with the NFL, and everything that you had already had in you and the goals that you had just kind of comes to fruition. Like that's how this whole thing works. So it was amazing to get a call from Tony Dungy and Bill Polian, who was the GM of the Indianapolis Colts at the time, and you get a call from Tony Dungy, and he's like, "Hey, with this next pick, we're gonna go ahead and pick you." And so when you're around with your family, we had a barbecue that day. Had no idea if I was going to get drafted or not, but we just wanted to celebrate the blessing, celebrate the family, celebrate the journey. I was the first from my family to graduate from college, and so now it just changed the temperature and why we were there. It wasn't, hey, let's throw this draft party because we know what's going down. But when I got that call, and they said we about to turn in our card to draft you, and you go in the living room, and the commissioner gets on with the 169th pick of the 5th round of the 2007 NFL draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Roy Hall, and everybody went nuts.
Right.
Everybody went nuts. So it was definitely awesome. Tears everywhere, hugs everywhere. And you just realize that 14 years or 15 years of believing and dreaming and things going your way and hard work and effort and all the people that supported and got you a ride to school and stayed out late so that you can play in their backyard. All those things came together to get me to that position.
Now, was your mom able to be in the stands for you a lot?
Yeah, mom never missed a game. At least not in high school. Maybe in middle school once or twice or a few times, but never in high school. I think she was at every single game. She had some challenges with her back and neck kind of when I was in college, so she didn't come to every college game, but every high school game she was up in the stands.
Yeah, and I know for players that can be difficult, especially if you're in Florida and your school is already in Louisville or whatever. So I know that that can be challenging for some athletes who aren't able to have their parents in the stands. Do you have any words of wisdom for them?
Stay connected. I mean, technology is a beautiful thing. It could definitely be a blessing. FaceTiming is always good. Text messaging, having a good rhythm with speaking to the people that you love, I think is very important. I don't really like the word routine because interrupted routine drives people crazy. And if you have a routine, the enemy knows your routine, and anything can disrupt that routine. But if you have rhythm, right? If you have rhythm, right, you can get back on beat at any time. You can get off for a little bit, right? But you can get back on beat anytime. And so I like to have a good rhythm. That means it doesn't have to be the same time every day, all the time, once a week on Wednesdays at 12 o'clock. I'm gonna always do this. Like, no, it could be on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday. I think communicating really, really helps. But then also trying to figure out ways, especially now with this, name, image, and likeness and the college athletes with their ability to make some more money, to really put your money towards travel, put your money towards making sure your family can come. Those are things that you want to take into consideration before you go and buy the latest Yeezys, or go buy the latest J's, or, go buy the, LeBron got his Louis Vuitton line now. So before you go get that $4,000 jacket, put that 4,000 to the side and make sure mom could come to the next 3 to 5 games or whatever it may be, where she can take off work and you can put money in her pocket for the money that she was going to lose. So I think those are the things that are important. But, when you have a tight relationship with your family members, that they're in spirit, and, you lift that up to the Lord and you go out and play hard for them. And if you play hard and do what you're supposed to do, you might put yourself in a position professionally where you can, uh, fly your parents private wherever you want to go.
Yeah, oh goodness. So when we think about, I'm thinking about a lot of times you're watching football games and people are dropping passes, like some key plays. So how do
Uh-huh.
you made a mistake. You should have caught it. It came right through your hands. How are you able to rebound from that and, you know what, get back on the field, get back out there? What are some tips for those athletes out there who they just can't believe that happened? How you because you got to do that quickly. Like that was one play and you got to get back out there for
Mhm.
the next play potentially. What are some tips that you would recommend to them?
Well, that's a life trick, where you have to, number one, it's, they used to say stay ready so you don't have to get ready. But that's when it comes to preparation. But preparation also allows you to not make mistakes that way. And if you prepare, it doesn't eat you up as much, right? If you're working hard and you catch 1,000 passes every week extra, or you catch 150 passes extra every week, and you never drop anything in practice and you're always on it, and then you drop one in a game, it may surprise you, but immediately, because of your preparation, you can identify why you messed up. You can say, hey, I took my eyes off the ball too fast. I was looking down. I didn't get my hands turned over. I was trying to get the first down instead of thinking about catching the ball first. I was worried about getting hit first. You can identify what happened. So the ball went up. I lost it in the lights. You might get that if it's a high ball. I couldn't see it. But then that just lets you know also, like when I get back to the training facilities, I probably need to somehow practice when that ball go up in the light. So because I can't see, so I got to learn the craft of catching that thing. You just want to try not to make a crucial mistake. I think the thing that gets you in the doghouse is consistency, right? Consistency. If you don't have but 5 opportunities a game and you drop 2 passes a game, it's like, man, you're almost 50-50 on catching the football. Some guys are going to get, 40 snaps, but you may only get 6. So you better make sure your 6 snaps that you get are 6 out of 6, not 3 out of 6. Because 3 out of 6 that's an F and failing no matter what you're doing. And so you get too many 3 out of 6s 3 games in a row, they're gonna start looking at somebody else. And it's not because they don't like you personally, it's because now you're looking at 9 out of 18, and we'd rather give this other dude over here an opportunity who's 0 for 0. Let's see what he can do if you going out there and messing up. So the biggest thing is do your best not to make a mistake, but when you do, correct it as fast as you can, and don't make it a habit of making mistakes, and definitely don't make excuses. Take full responsibility for when you don't do your job. Excuses have been and always will be the crutches of the uncommitted. And so you can find out quickly who's committed to getting better, who's committed to staying the same, just by what's coming out of their mouth after a mistake is made.
Yeah, that's the worst. I totally agree with you. I cannot stand for people to make excuses. Like take
Mhm.
ownership for your actions. Yes, that was incredible.
I'm gonna
And
give you some quick. I'm gonna give you some quick gospel real quick in 30 seconds. When God told Adam not to eat from the tree, he ended up doing it anyway because Eve said it. So when God came down and asked Adam and said, "Hey man, didn't I tell you not to do this?" We all know Adam was like, "Nah, Eve told me to do it." Then he went to Eve and said, "Well, you know better too. Why you do it?" And she said, "Well, the serpent, the snake, the devil told me to do it." There's a reason why he didn't go to the serpent and ask the devil, did he do it? Because the devil would have took responsibility. Now watch this. It took a whole 2,000, however many thousands of years for God to go through every man and woman all the way till he got to Jesus, for one person to take responsibility for everything. Because when you take responsibility, you get the power back. And so the enemy had the power for so long because he was willing to take responsibility. Jesus came, took responsibility for everything, and that's how you get your power back. So I don't really believe in the blame game. I'm taking ownership, even if it's not my fault. Even if it's not my fault. Like, terrible things happen to people all the time. People get robbed, people get abused, and it may not have been their fault. But as long as you keep blaming the person that did it to you, that's the only person that could free you. So as soon as you take responsibility for your life and ownership of what's going on in your world in that moment, you get your power back and you can start to move forward. There you go.
You just dropped it. You just dropped the mic.
There you
Incredible. That was incredible. And so get your power back.
go.
Get your
Get
power back.
your power
So,
back.
all right. So it's the NFL, and you've done that, and now I want to cross into real estate because you own real estate, right? So how are you able to get into real estate investing?
This is simple. I mean, you just, once you get to the point where you have, what I would call, it's not a full-time gig. It's not something that, it's just that you have to find different ways to generate profit, to make some money, to take care of your money. Any investment is a risk, no matter what. But it's a vehicle to hold your money to hopefully go and take it where you want it to go versus just putting it under your mattress, right? You can pick and choose whatever you want to get into. Real estate just happens to be an avenue where you can own some things. You can take some losses too. But for me, I never try and do anything with the notion of it's about to make me rich. Like, it just has to be more than that. It can't be about I just want to make a bunch of money, because like, making it to the league was about making money. And then when I got there, like, staying in the league was hard because I already had money. Like, the goal was to get in a position to make money to be able to take care of my mom, not to become a superstar, right? My prayers weren't that. So my motivation had to change. Then my motivation turned in I want to stay so I can keep taking care of the people that I love. But money will never be enough. It'll never be enough to get, you always want more. And so people are like, man, I got 17 houses. I'm in commercial real estate. I got this amount of money and this and this and this and this and this and this. And like my man Denzel said, like, behind the hearse, it's not a Penske truck. It's not a U-Haul behind the hearse. Like, when you die, you die. Your stuff is here. Well, I'm leaving it for my family. Well, when you die, I bet you your family would rather have you here than your stuff. Right. Well, it's gonna be easier for them. That's because you think they're gonna do with it what you would have did with it. Just because they might blow all that money because it remind them of bad things. Like, you just don't know how things are gonna play out when you're not here. So people make a lot of excuse on I want to get into this and do it. And it's cool. Like, if you're talented and you're gifted, but I like to put a purpose behind the things that you own. Like, if you own 17 houses or 10 houses or this and that, how is some of that money benefiting people other than just you? Then you know what I mean? Like, how, like, are you helping to hold up a nonprofit? Are you helping this homeless shelter around the corner? Are you making and getting people new tents and new sleeping bags when they're sleeping under bridges? Like, what are you doing with that extra money? Right? If it's just, oh, now look at my house, look at my addition, look at my new whip, look at my vacation, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Like, you got to keep doing that stuff to keep up with the look at me, right? Versus looking at others. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned, like, being in a position to be blessed from a financial standpoint, is it cannot just be about you, and it cannot just be about I'm about to just pay for my kids and take care of my kids. God has us on this earth with resources to bless other people. That's why back in biblical times, nobody. So real estate is put me in position to have some variables, so to speak, and some diversity, I guess, in the portfolio. But it definitely is not nothing to try and define me or anything like that. It's a good space to be in. It's not for everyone. And again, I would, like, don't get into real estate if you're just trying to get rich. Like, that's just bad business. That's bad business for anything. Even being a professional athlete, I just want to be rich. Yeah, and then you tear your ACL. Now what you gonna do? Right now, what you gonna do? So you want to make sure you do things that you feel called to do, that you feel good about. I mean, real estate, I think, is great for people who love building houses with Legos. They love Monopoly. They got sick and tired of being homeless growing up, or they was tired of, like, almost getting kicked out of their homes or living in an apartment. Like, I want to help some people own some stuff. I want to own some stuff. You know what I mean? It's a different purpose behind it versus making money.
How do you think social media has played into everybody in, wanting to have the $4,000 Louis Vuitton, whatever. How has social media played into this?
I wish we had a time time to
I
get
know I saw
really
your
into
facial expression.
to the thick of things with the social media. I mean, there's been many a conversation. I think social media could be an awesome tool. It is an awesome tool. Like anything, it's just like cars are awesome until you drive them at 120 miles an hour in a 65 mile an hour speed zone. Like everything's great until you abuse it. But social media has stolen the attention of so many people, and now there are certain people that don't fall victim to it, so that they're living their lives and they have success, and you get caught up watching their success, and you start evaluating where you are in your own life based on what you see somebody else doing. And so that becomes a terrible situation to be in. It's not just the person that you know and the people that you know personally, it's just even getting exposed to a celebrity's lifestyle. Before, if Michael Jordan was on TV, you saw him dunk a basketball, but you didn't know what he drove, what restaurants he went to, what his wife was wearing, what house he lived in, what stuff he had, where he was going. It just wasn't that, right? But now you see that, you're like, I want that. And then you can get pieces of that, where, LeBron might walk in and have 17 Louis Vuitton luggages and the whole outfit in Louis, and you like, well, I can get one. That'll put me in the same category as what LeBron has. And so I'm not a big, my social media really revolves around me speaking and getting out and sharing and motivating people and inspiring people. And that's what my focus is on. I would prefer you not to know what I drove and where I lived and what I have. I think some things should be kept personal, and I don't like marketing my stuff to show how much I've made it, right? And I don't have to show you my stuff and write a caption, that's 6 paragraphs long about my struggle and how look at me now. Like, it's like, nah, man, like, just thank God for it. Keep doing what you're doing. Help other people do it too. All right, without trying to sell me a class. You see what I'm saying? You see what I mean? Like, it just gets you caught up in not everybody got to have a class and come take my class. It's nothing wrong with having to take a class, but it's like everybody that has a class, you're like, how did you get the thought of having a class? Well, I saw somebody else told me to have a class, and then they told me I could make money off of it. But you're not a teacher, so how do you have a class? Right? You're not a teacher. That's not your gift. And you're not even always successful in your own business. It just looked like it because you know what to put on your social media. Right. So, like, let's just relax a little bit. Use social media for what it was supposed to. And I don't think it was intended to show off the things that you have. But I think it can be used as a tool to show off who you can be, who you are, and how you can add value to other people.
Yeah, yet another mic drop. So I feel like when I was scrolling through your website at one point, I saw a hashtag that said, or maybe it was a T-shirt that said, "My community, my responsibility."
Absolutely.
And what does that mean to you?
If I live there, I should be giving there. That's the quick. If I live there, I should give there. I should invest there. I should help there. I should grow there. I should build there. I should be there. And if I live there, or if I lived there, and that area is going through some challenging times. If it's my community, is my responsibility. If I see a problem, and community is not just a physical location. It's a community of people. It's your school. It's who you work with. It's who you design with. It's who you brainstorm with. It's who you go to church with. It's a community. Whoever I'm around, and if I'm in that community, then I should probably take responsibility for the successes and the failures of everybody in that community. And so I can't be the only one that has success. That sucks. Why am I the only person pulling up in a $200,000 car or $150,000 car? That's great. That means I'm doing something right. But what about the people over here to my left and to my right that are struggling to just get gas in their car? But I'm calling them my friends and saying we're in the same community. That's my brother, that's my sister, but they're struggling. So the whole notion is to make sure you use your platform for a purpose, and that purpose has to be helping people, and getting out of your comfort zone to give the best of you, and invest in people. I mean, outside of real estate and the stock market and this and that and all these different things that you can invest in, businesses and all that stuff, which is great. How are you investing in people? And that investment can be, oh, I talked to them for 15 minutes on the call. I mean, did you help them make money? Is the question. Did you help them reach their goals and their dreams.
So what's next for Roy? Or do you have like a mentorship program? Look, or a course? What, what,
I do not have a
what's our,
course. I could create a course. Right now I'm just focused on, sharing and speaking and motivating, inspiring people with my words, with stories, projecting gratitude and perseverance and thankfulness into the corporate sector, getting their perspective right and making sure they have the juice to do their job at a high level. I'm real big on that. But teamwork and doing your part and understanding your value, those are all things that I love speaking on. And so I've been blessed to be able to travel all around the country and speak at different corporate sectors and venues and events and conferences. But at the end of the day, it's still sharing the gospel. It's just figuring out a way to take the word of God and make it more practical so that people can leverage those blessings themselves, and understand that they're here for a reason, more than just to keep moving up the corporate ladder or making more money, and that they got to find purpose in what they do. And that purpose has to be bigger than the mission statement of the company that they're working for, or even being an entrepreneur or whatever title people want to give themselves now. Life is so much about just using what you have and all the things that you have to make a difference. And if you focus on making a difference instead of making a living, you'll make a heck of an impact in this universe. And so, I'll just continue to do that, running my nonprofit organization here, the Driven Foundation, and our youth programs that we have with that standpoint. But you can do a lot. Like, I'm speaking all around the country. I got youth leadership programs in over 15 schools in Ohio here. We run a nonprofit organization that's given away almost 2 million pounds of free food to over 10,000 Central Ohio family members and families. I'm the team chaplain for the Ohio State football team and have been for the last 10 years. I'm a high school football coach, got a graphic design and website design company. Like, I do a lot of different things because it's a lot of things that God's given me from a blessing standpoint. But because I am not tied to or burdened and bonded to that, I count money. So that's what I'm keep doing, and hopefully keep blessing people with those gifts.
so here on the Dana Spencer Show, we talk about building relationships. So tell us, are you married?
I am not married. I am not married. I have two kids. My son he'll be 16 here in a couple months, and then my daughter's 14. And so he's a football player. She runs track, plays soccer. So, my heart's tied up with them. And I love the fact that I get a chance to be the dad I always wanted to have when I was growing up. And so that's one of the responsibilities that I have, which is absolutely awesome. So, I try and be the potential best father I could be and help them bring their potential to the height their max as kids.
Well, and a lot of times, and this probably is going to be an excuse, some people are like, oh, I can't be a good dad because I didn't have that example. How are you able to be the dad that you wanted to be, even though you didn't have that example growing up?
Yeah, you may not have had it personally, but you know what it looks like. And I didn't have Jordans growing up, but I know what they look like. I didn't have the best meals on the table, but I know what it looks like. I didn't have, the real frosted flakes when I was growing up, but I know what Tony the Tiger looks like. And so just because you don't have it doesn't mean that you can't be it. And that's just anything in life. And so you might have to read books, you might have to listen to podcasts, you might have to think back to what you saw with other people's fathers, you might have to join a group. But the biggest thing is just being there, right? Being there, whatever that means, being present. Sometimes it's money, right? But sometimes it's not money. Sometimes it's listening. Sometimes it's falling asleep with your kids. Sometimes it's FaceTiming. Sometimes it's showing up at every single game or any activity that they have. Being a great father, I think, is just it's about priority. And being a father is greater than whatever you do for a living. Is greater than all of that, because I'm telling you that kids don't care about your money, right? They like the stuff that you get them. But if you watch a kid open up gifts on Christmas, they run through 50 different gifts in about 13 minutes and then they're gone, right? It's gone that fast. They prefer to have you long term. And it's your responsibility in that small community, that family community, to make sure you equip them to be able to go out into this world and go further than you do. And so if you're investing way more time in being an entrepreneur than you are and being a father, then you losing and you missing it completely.
Now, does your son play on the team that you coach?
Yes, he does. And
So
that's
how
why I
does
coach. That's why I coach, because he plays. If he didn't play, I wouldn't coach. It's that simple. But my son's playing, so I'm coaching. My daughter's running track, so I'm right there helping in the track team. So where they go, I'm gonna go, right? And that's the freedom of being able to rely on God. Because you kept getting injured? Would you take a 15-year NFL career, or would you have it that I'm taking this life, right? Because for 15 years I would be in the league building and doing what I need to do, and every fall I wouldn't be able to make my son's games. Every fall I wouldn't be able to be at the soccer. So I'll take that any day, because that's super important.
so being a coach, being the face of an organization, how much pressure is that on you from a standpoint of, when you think about, social media, and then you think about, who you want to be, how are you able to handle the pressure of being a coach this day and age?
Um, I To be honest, I don't think it's any pressure on me. I think my life is purpose driven. So I get to say yes and I get to say no. And I think part of growing and with wisdom, you understand when you start taking on too much. And so as long as you kind of stay in your same lane and everything's aligning, there's really not any pressure. If anything, people can apply pressure all they want to, but I get to choose whether or not I'm standing on the side that they pushing on, right? Like they can, you can. That's them. It's pressure for them. I've lifted weights before, and the weight is on me if I'm pushing the pressure. People can push whatever, you can do whatever you want to, but that don't mean it has to impact me. That means opinions. That means like the vision or the mission that God gives me is the one he gives me. And based on how he sees fit is going to dictate which way I go and how I move. And he's standing between me and every person in every relationship that I have. So if somebody is applying pressure, that means that I've opened the gate and removed myself from having God in between me and the other thing. You see what I'm saying? I can only feel pressure if I step out in front of God. If as long as he's in front of me, I don't feel a thing. And so you just got to be able to understand who's in front of you, and who you're listening to, and then you'll be able to like navigate those high stress moments.
Roy, I could talk to you all day. So, if we were going to put a bow on this conversation, what is it that you would want the listeners to walk away with?
Essentially, whatever you're going through, no matter what you're going through, it could be a challenging time. It could be the hardest moment of your life. It could be the best time of your life. But I don't know when this is going to air, but we just saw on TV someone lose their life at a Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. And, it's just a reminder that every day is a gift. Right? Every day is a gift. Tomorrow's not promised. Ask yourself, what's the value of today if tomorrow never comes? It's absolutely priceless. It's invaluable. And so every time that you wake up, take a moment to thank God, take a moment to walk around in gratitude. Don't worry about what's going on. Just know that you're going to win if you keep moving forward. But when you realize that every day is a gift, you can max out. You can go as hard as you need to go that day in your relationships. You could be passionate, you could be loving, you can cry, you can do all of those things all in one day and have a fulfilling day. You should be tired at the end of the day. You shouldn't have time to want to go and hang out and kick it. And like you should be tired every day at the end of the day. That's why we were designed to sleep for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. Like you're supposed to be tired and exhausted if you're living out and maxing out your life. And so whatever you're waiting for, it ain't coming. You're gonna have to go get it. You're gonna have to go get it, but you're able to go get it when you know that every day is a gift. It gives you a sense of urgency.
Wow, you couldn't have wrapped it up no better than that. Roy, thank you so much for stopping by the Dana Spencer Show. I certainly appreciate you and everything that you have done for me in my life. And so just remember out there, every day is a gift. Until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you.